Welcome to this week's video blog. Following last week's blog, it's felt calmer again across the organisation. Seems that demand has plateaued, continued to plateau, and while we're still busy, staff have continued to work amazingly to manage that demand and provide the safest, best possible quality care we can. So it's felt more stable again this week. And in that vein, I'd like to move the video blogs on a little bit going forward now to reports not just on COVID related matters, but also to on other business that maybe reflect a return to a more normal rhythm of work for the organisation. So first for today, I'd like to express my thanks and pay tribute to a group of staff who are absolutely vital to our services and also more widely across the NHS. So the 13th of May was National Receptionist Day, and we know how vitally important receptionists are to the smooth running of our services. A happy, professional receptionist can transform the experience a patient has when they're trying to access care from our services. And we've got dozens of those receptionists across the organisation. You've been particularly vital over the last 7 weeks or so. You've stood front and centre in our services, supporting patients that need face-to-face care, often at a time that's the most worrying in their lives. So for that and for all the work you do across the organisation, I'd like to say thank you. So my second update today just really is a reinforcement of a message that was sent out via email earlier in the week. As we're all working more and more remotely, the need to communicate regularly with colleagues who we would otherwise have had more daily contact with has increased. So whilst that's entirely understandable, there are some negative impacts of that, which are, for many people, the volume of emails being received has increased significantly. And the consequences of that for some staff are a difficulty in getting to the emails that need to be responded to most urgently and are most important quickly. So my message earlier in the week was really to ask a number of things. Firstly, can you really give some thought about whether or not the email that you're considering sending is important and vital and needs to be sent? Whether or not you're sending that message to just the relevant recipients. And thirdly, if you start to write an email and you see that somebody is out of the office, maybe on annual leave, just think about whether or not you need to send that email then, and whether it could wait until that colleague's back from leave. And finally, encouraging everybody to use Teams wherever you possibly can, even for connecting with colleagues on a one-to-one basis. We're all working more remotely. The sense of isolation for many staff has increased, and Teams is a really, really valuable way of maintaining contact more directly with both teams that you work in, but also individuals. So if you've got a quick query that you think requires just a rapid answer that you would otherwise walk over and speak to somebody face to face, please do consider using Teams to connect with that person. So another group of staff that have been widely celebrated across the world actually this week are nurses. So 12th of May was the International Nurses Day, and quite rightly, the nursing profession was hugely celebrated across the globe. In GTD, we've got an amazing group of nursing staff. We work really hard to select who we think are the best nurses available to support the patients that access our services. So I'm always amazed by the dedication, and the commitment and the passion for looking after patients in the best way possible. The organisation couldn't function without you. The NHS couldn't function without you. We've invested heavily in our nursing workforce because we think that the future of healthcare revolves around the development of nurses. So thank you, all our nurses in GP practices, in urgent care services, in our dental services, our amazing nursing leadership team. You all do an amazing job, and thank you for your passion, for your commitment and your hard work and talent. So final update from me today. So whilst we're definitely not out of the woods just yet with regards to COVID and the impact it's having on patients and on you as staff members, we are nevertheless already considering plans for how we can provide services into the future once the prevalence and the impact of COVID has died down even further. So what we want to do is learn lessons from the scale of the remote working that we've undertaken, the technology that we've put in place to enable that to happen, and also learn from the experiences of staff who've had to work differently over the last few weeks. So one of the first steps in that process is to undertake some staff engagement, initially with people that would normally work and be associated with the clinical hub. So there's a piece of work being led by Kerry Waterworth, but being supported by Holly Jones, Anna Fox, and also Chris Cheetham. So we're compiling a survey that we want to send out in order to gather your views, if you work in the clinical hub, about your experience over the last few weeks. What's worked well, what's not worked so well that could have been better, what your experience has been like of working more remotely, away from your team, away from your normal colleagues, and away from your normal place of work. So that survey should be being distributed over the next couple of weeks. So when you receive it, if you work in a clinical hub, I'd strongly urge you to please reply to it and share your views with us about your experience of the last 7 weeks, because it's absolutely vital that we build those thoughts and those reflections into our plan for our future model. So that's it from this week. Tune in again next week. And in the meantime, have a great weekend and a great week next week.